right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the January 7th, 2014 reorganization meeting of Medford Township Council. Okay, I guess we'll begin with the flag salute. We'll rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll now read the open public meeting statement. Notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by 1, posting a copy of the agenda on the bulletin board at the municipal building and on the township website. 2, filing a copy of the agenda in the office of the township clerk at the municipal building. 3, forwarding a copy of the agenda to the central record of the Burlington County Times. And 4, forwarding written notice to each person who has requested copies of the regular meeting schedule. All of the above posting, filing, and mailing have taken place on the 3rd of January 2014. Next item on the agenda is swearing in of council-elect, whose term expires on 12/31/2017. Councilman Beanstalk, Councilman Pace, and Councilman Watson.
I, Jeffrey Beanstalk,
I, Jeffrey Beanstalk,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments
to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of people,
under the authority of people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Township Council
of the office of Township Council
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. I, James Pace,
I, James Pace,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments
to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of people,
under the authority of people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Township Council
of the office of Township Council
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I, Charles Watson,
I, Charles Watson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments
to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of people,
under the authority of people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Township Council
of the office of Township Council
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on, we have the nomination and election of mayor for 2014. Do I have any nominations for mayor, the office of mayor of Medford Township for 2014?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to nominate Councilman Chris Wone for mayor for 2014.
All right, thank you, Councilman Pace. Do I have any other nominations? Hearing none, do I have a second for the nomination of Councilman Warren?
Second.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Do we need a roll call for this? Should we do a roll call? Yeah. All right, can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Beanstalk?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Boney?
Aye.
Mayor Chekai?
Aye. Congratulations. All right, next item on the agenda is the nomination and election of deputy mayor for 2014 for Medford Township. Do I have any nominations for deputy mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councilman Chuck Watson for deputy mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Beanstalk. Do I have any other nominations for deputy mayor? Okay, hearing none, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Pace. A roll call vote?
Mr. Beanstalk?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Boney?
Aye.
Mayor Chekai?
Aye. Congratulations. Now we'll do the administration of oath of office, mayor and deputy mayor.
Want to do this?
Don't be shy.
I state your name.
I, Chris Boney,
Solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of people,
under the authority of people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of mayor
perform all duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
I state your name.
I, Chuck Watson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of people,
under the authority of people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties of the office of deputy mayor
perform all the duties of the office of deputy mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You want to move? You want this seat?
It's yours now.
Oh, I left a mess over here. Mind presiding over my pig pen for a few minutes?
So, just wanted to make a couple comments. The names, yeah. I was going to wait until I started saying smart things and then put my name. I really, the first thing I want to do is thank Frank. Frank gave us a really good year here last year. It was an interesting year because it was sort of a turnaround year for Medford. We were certainly not out of the woods yet, but it was a difference between sort of facing a calamity and then having to find out what normal is. And I think we're working on that now. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the mayor is. A lot of people don't know this, but really the mayor, we're all equal up here. There's no difference between the mayor or any other member of council. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, well, that's true, but people's perceptions are different. And it occurred to me that what the mayor really is the voice and the face of council. And since we came on as Medford First, and I include Chuck and Jeff in that group, even though they weren't part of that original campaign, they've been very much part of what we've done here. We've had a few different faces here, a few different voices. I think Randy was the loud voice that we had at first. And that was at a time where we needed it. I mean, our town had been through a lot of drama. We had seen things come to light. And I think the residents of Medford really needed to be greeted with a frank and open voice of government. And Randy Pace provided that with honor and with dignity, and it has been my pleasure to serve with him every step along the way. And Frank came in, he was much more calm and quiet and reserved. And it was a different voice, but it was for a different time. And it was less turmoil and more turning the page into something new. So here I am. And I guess I want to just make sure we set the priorities straight, what you can expect when you hear my voice. One of the great things, I think, as we go over the next couple of years is that you're going to hear a lot of different voices and see a lot of faces up here. And I think it's a credit to this governing body and also to the town, that you have 5 people up here who reflect different views and all act with integrity. And so with me, the first thing is fun. I'm going to have a good time. I enjoy life, and we're bringing that to here. So it's going to be a fun year. You will get information out of me. I think that's a priority, that people know exactly what to expect. In my professional life, one of the most important things I can do is set expectations for people so that they know what they're getting when they get it. You will have expectations set for you, and there's not going to be surprises for Medford, at least not coming from us. Access, if you email me, if you call me, I'll get back to you. Sometimes it's going to take a while, but you're going to have access, and you're going to have ears to listen, and I think that goes for all of us. And the last thing is empathy. And the thing that I remember the most in really dealing with the whole world of politics is having to sit in the audience and confront the governing body with something that made me unhappy. I remember the feeling of sort of alienation, a feeling of cynicism that what I said didn't matter, it wouldn't be heard. And I understand what that's like. And just people who want to approach us, please know that we're listening, it matters. And you're going to get a voice from us that takes into account what you want. So with that said, I get to work. Chuck, did you have any, Deputy Mayor Watson, did you have any words?
Just, it's an honor to serve as deputy mayor and serve with you as your deputy. Lived here an awful long time. It's just to have the opportunity to serve as a councilman more than anything has been a great honor and blessing to me. Just something that if I have the need to step in as and fill your shoes for a meeting or something, that I do it well and make everyone, all the residents of Medford proud of all of us and how we run council this year.
Excellent. All right, so for this meeting, as I understand, our next, 2014 roll call.
Mr. Beanstalk?
Here.
Mr. Checkeye?
Here.
Mr. Pace?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Watson?
Here.
Mayor Bolney?
Here. I see we have a portion for public comments. I was uncertain as to whether or not that was included in our reorg meeting, but we have a section for public comments, so if there's any members of the public that want to come up and speak, please just raise your hand or step up to the microphone and remember to give your name and address so we can put it on the record. Anyone that has any comments? Seeing none, call to close the public comment period.
So moved.
Give a second.
Just a second.
Maybe a voice vote?
Yes.
I'm nervous. So, have a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is resolutions.
Before we do that, Mr. Mayor, could I have a few minutes here?
Yes.
Just to make some comments about the last year, follow up and expand on what you said about the last year. It was my privilege to serve last year as mayor of Medford. And I just wanted to go over a few of the things that we did manage to accomplish last year during that period. I had the manager put together a list of items that we went through last year and managed to accomplish. So I'm just going to go through them very briefly, just to give a flavor for the work we accomplished. The first year we were in our office, in 2012, we encountered a massive budget deficit, which we managed to muddle our way through and get a budget passed that balanced, and then continue the year. And then going into 2013, we set a different set of goals going into 2013, but continuing, the austerity program that we put in place in 2012 in order to cure our budget problems. So we started off 2013, again, we had a budget deficit, but we managed to adopt our budget on time in accordance with the governor's guidelines. And we had no local tax increase last year. The local purpose portion of your tax in 2013 was zero. Now, your taxes went up, of course, because the school districts had an increase, and the county had an equalized increase. But the local portion of your tax was flat. Okay, it did not increase at all. We managed that through without using any of our school deferrals, which we had done in the past, or any of our utility funds. We used no excess funds in order to get to that zero answer for 2013. One of the things we also did was we put a referendum on the ballot in November so that we could have flexibility in the open space tax that you pay. Because with the revaluation that we had in 2012, that took effect in 2012, the rate there is set. We had a set rate of 3%. Or was it 3.2? 3 cents. Set rate, but since the valuation of all the properties in Medford increased, the actual amount of open space tax we collected increased. Okay, even though a valuation or revaluation on properties isn't supposed to generate additional tax. Unfortunately, the way the law works, because you have a set rate for that, you can't adjust that rate unless you go to the voters, like we did. There's an increase in that tax. Well, we determined that we wanted to have flexibility to adjust that rate so that we didn't collect more than we needed. So we put it to referendum in November, and overwhelmingly the voters agreed with us in the past to give us that flexibility to adjust that rate from 1 cent to 3 cents. So now going forward, if we deem it necessary, we can adjust that rate so that we don't collect more than we need in open space tax. And it gives us some flexibility with regard to the budget. We implemented sanitation outsourcing last year. And I know while we had some rough spots in the beginning, it seems to have smoothed out and it's working well now. We produced a savings over the 5-year period, the contract that we entered in with Casworth, of approximately $1.5 million. So that will get us about $1.5 million in savings over the contract life. We set about doing a review of our professional service providers. We instituted a tax task force. Mayor Boney and I were part of that, as well as 2 residents, Jack Hartwig and Bill Shade were part of that. And we presented those findings. And in 2013, we actually implemented ordinances which took the recommendations from that task force in order to secure and bulk up our purchasing process and our internal processes, so the things that happened in the past that led us down over that cliff, as it were, that financial cliff, we can prevent them, or at least we can stave them off more than they were in the past. So we put checks and balances in place. We put procedures in place, additional procedures in place, that will hopefully prevent things that happened in the past from happening again. We had our issues with the library, obviously, and those issues are ongoing. Based on my conversations with the county last year, we're at a point now where they have a set of plans for us, for either the Pinelands Library or for a different site, which we're going to talk about this year. And hopefully we'll have it started this year. We're either going to renovate that existing structure, or we're going to find a new place for a library in Medford. But the library is going nowhere. We will have a library in Medford for as long as I'm here and as long as the rest of my colleagues are here. We will have that library, and actually we're going to have a renovated or either a renovated or a new space for that library at some time in the very near future. We settled contracts with our labor units, with the senior officers, senior police officers, with our public works, and with the utilities unit. Our negotiations with the Medford Township Police Officer Association are ongoing, but I think we're very close to resolving the issues with them, and we should have a contract in place for those. That settles our contracts for a period of, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah, we have one coming up at the end of this year, but those will be.
So we have stability in our labor agreements, and those labor agreements were very, again, we instituted some very good provisions from the township standpoint, so that we could have stability in our budget going forward. We reviewed all our outstanding debt obligations to the township, and in fact, we refunded and reissued some debt without extending the term, lowering the interest rate, which will give us about a $600,000 savings over the remaining term of those notes. We also looked at all the either unfunded or non-closed out bonds, and we managed to recover, as it were, about $2 million of those funds that were either unfunded or unresolved in terms of closing out those projects, and we'll repurpose those in order to do things around the township that we think are vital and need to be done. For instance, updating our computer infrastructure, road work in the township, which I think we all can agree is probably desperately needed in some areas, and other projects, capital improvement projects. So we repurposed a good portion of those funds. We have a substantial part left over in reserve in case it's needed for some reason, or if we can find other things that are worthwhile to do, like the library, for instance, if we want to take some of those funds and use them for renovating or perhaps find a new space for the library. We finalized the sign ordinance for the downtown area, which gives us more flexibility and gives the businesses more flexibility. We adopted an exemption and abatement program for the Medford Historic Village, which for new and existing businesses, which allows them to get tax abatements if they do improvements to their properties, and tax exemptions. We also recovered one expired license. Why are we holding up the?
Just wondering about the Samos.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to address now. We recovered one expired license from the Beau Rivage, which we've got out to bid, and we're in the process of recovering two from Medford Village East Associates. But that's in litigation. You know, we don't know the outcome of it, but you know, again, he's held on to those licenses for 10 years, hasn't used them. We think it's about time that you know, they put to some use. And in that vein, we're looking at rezoning portions or all of the Route 70 corridor. The planning board is working on that at this point. We're going to continue to work on that so that perhaps we can increase the size of the buildings that are allowed there so that we can draw in businesses that will want to utilize those licenses and generate revenue for the township. So basically, that's the year in review, the things we accomplished this year. Again, I think it was a good year. It was a busy year, and I think that you know, with new leadership here at the helm, I think we'll continue that and you know, get other issues resolved that we need to get resolved in the township.
Do we have any other council comments? Thank you, Councilman Checker. All right, saying none. Move on to the next part of our agenda tonight, which is the consent agenda resolutions. I'll read them to you. Resolution 1, 2014, approve 2013 temporary budget. Resolution 2-2014.
It's actually 2014, it's a typo, I did fix it in the red book.
Oh, I said 2014, didn't I? Oh, approve the 2014
Yes, it should say approve
temporary.
2014 temporary budget.
Got it. Establishing, Resolution 2-2014, establishing meeting dates. Resolution 3-2014, designating official newspapers. Resolution 4-2014, authorizing execution of checks. Resolution 5-2014, establishing interest rate delinquent taxes. Resolution 6-2014, authorizing refunds for duplicate tax or utility payments. Resolution 7-2014, adopting the year 2014 cash management plan for the Township of Medford. Resolution 8-2014, appropriate authorization to reestablish custodians of petty cash funds. Resolution 9-2014, appointing contact person for the Employment Practices Liability Helpline, Burlington County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. Resolution 10-2014, appointing Municipal Joint Insurance Fund Commissioner, alternate fund commissioner, claims coordinator, and safety coordinator. And Resolution 11-2014, authorizing the tax collector to cancel 2013 and 2014 tax and water sewer balances, credits, and/or debits in the amount of less than $10. Before I ask for a motion, are there any council comments?
One comment we have to make with regard to 2-2014 establishing meeting dates. I just got an email today with regard to the Lenape High School District. They've changed their graduation date to June 17th, which is our second meeting in June, and I believe 3 of us have graduating seniors.
Yes.
So I don't believe we should just note it. We don't need to change it at this point, because if we have another snow day, it'll move again. They don't have any snow days in their calendar, so it moves every time there's a snow day.
Now, speaking of June, is June 3rd a primary day? That's a primary election day, right?
Probably.
Yep.
So this building won't be available for us?
Right.
On June 3rd, so we'll have to think about an alternate location on the 3rd. And also November 4th, that's also an election day. So we want to think about those. One of the things that I thought would be interesting would be to consider taking some of these meetings and putting them in different parts of the town anyway, to give other people who live around town maybe an impetus to come and actually, meet the governing body and see what we do. So that may be something to work into our schedule around those dates, just something to consider. Any other comments about our consent agenda or resolutions?
All right, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda resolutions.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, that will adjourn our reorganization meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Next, a regular, oh, well, you know what, we're gonna take let's take a
Take a
2-minute adjournment, 5-minute adjournment. So it's now 7:30, we will adjourn our regular meeting at 7:35.